Welcome, everyone.
We're finally back.
We're finally back from a vacation. Life happens. But primarily, we're back from vacation now.
And we're going to talk about it.
That's right. So where did we go on vacation? Well, for starters, we're going to redefine what that vacation is, but we did go somewhere.
Yeah, we went to Galapagos.
It's in Ecuador, for those of you who don't know.
Yes.
Which is where we live.
Yes.
But it still costs a lot because we are not Ecuadorians.
Yes.
So it's a wonderful trip. We had planned to go see everything we possibly could. So some would argue this is not what we will later define as vacation.
Right. With 3 kids, mind you.
So we got to see all the main islands that are inhabited. My sister came along.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was beautiful. Talk about marine iguanas. Those things were everywhere.
Sea lions.
So many sea lions. They were getting all up in our business. Tortugas. We saw sharks.
We did.
We were in the water and they were just swimming around like,
the little guys. The little guys, everybody. These are black-tipped reef sharks.
We're not talking like Donna style. It was just little sharks, cute.
But people do swim with hammerheads when they go on these other excursions. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
We went snorkeling. I saw stingray. It was a little bit scary, but also cool.
So snorkeling also included swimming with sea turtles and sea lions. Very cool. But
All that to say,
we are Red Weather Christians.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Steve. We're here working through what drives, motivates, and inspires us to act.
Whether it's a career, a religion, a family, or a vacation, does it even make us happy?
So yes, we are going to talk all about vacation in general, not just our fun excursion to the Galapagos. Why do we take vacations?
Why do we need vacations?
What are we taking vacation from?
Ooh, there's a deep question for you. That's your homework assignment. Question 1. What are we taking vacations from, people?
And of course, as this season has kind of focused on it, what is the benefit of it?
Right. We've been trying to focus on what in our lives is bringing us happiness. So we're going to ask those questions about vacation.
Because let's be clear, if you haven't done this, as in take a vacation, there's that point when you finally get home and you're like, oh, that vacation was so much fun, but
I'm so glad to be home.
sleeping in my own bed with my pillow. These are things Jen says.
Making my coffee in the morning with my stuff.
So if that's there, why do we put ourselves through the rigor of a vacation, this adventure, this excursion, only to be happy to be home?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about.
So there's a quote that Jen wants to share from the esteemed writer and poet, D.H. Lawrence.
Here is his quote. He says, "All real living hurts as well as fulfills. Happiness comes when we have lived and have a respite for sheer forgetting. Happiness, in the vulgar sense, is just a holiday experience. The lifelong happiness lies in being used by life, hurt by life, driven and goaded by life, replenished and overjoyed with life, fighting for life's sake. That is real happiness. In the undergoing, a large part of it is pain."
Wow. Okay, so didn't expect that turn.
Pain!
Mainly because I think of the happiness I was describing is when we finally get home from a vacation and you can rest.
Yeah, that's real happiness, right? Just lying in my own bed.
Well, there's also just with kids, we'll just bring it up. Kids on vacation can't go to their rooms or just play their video games, not really unless you bring everything. And we've got younger kids. And so we become the entertainment all the time on vacation.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. All real living hurts as well as fulfills. Because kids, oh man, they're great. We love them. We're so glad that we have 3 of them. But doing something like going on a vacation together with the kids, it hurts sometimes.
Right. And to be specific, in the Galapagos, it hurt them because a couple of them got sick, whether from dehydration or bad food or something like that. And it hurt us because we had to physically carry them in some cases. or it hurt our morale because we want to go do things.
Yeah, we want everyone to be in a good mood and energetic and having a fun time. And that was not happening.
But we still did those things. Just less happiness, some pain. So let's address that first question. Why do we need vacation?
Well, I can't help but think that this is part of our consumeristic mindset and that this has been taught to us that we need vacation by somebody out there who is making money off of our going on to vacation.
I can agree with that. And I think you might rephrase the question not in the need of a vacation, but want of a vacation. And so even if we don't need it, what do we hope for? What do we want out of that vacation?
Yeah, what's the purpose of vacation? When you sit down and you plan your vacation, what is your purpose? I think a lot of people would say rest and recuperation from the day-to-day living of working, and if you have kids, dealing with the kids and taking them to all of their practices and piano lessons and all the things. And we just want to get away from that. So kind of a time off situation.
Even though some of that time off will be more time on entertaining them because they're not at those practices. But I agree with the idea that you hope for rest, and some of it is to get away. We'll address that too, but you want something different, that there's maybe a monotony to the life that you're leading, and a vacation breaks that monotony.
Yeah, and I think too, we've talked a lot about being in a bubble on this podcast, but I think we can get into a bubble of our day-to-day life. And I think it's good to get out of that bubble by going somewhere new and experiencing a new place. And I think most people, when you think of vacation, you do think of somewhere beautiful. For me, I think nature. Maybe beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So maybe for some of you, vacation looks like, I don't know, just going somewhere and watching movies all day. I don't know, but for me, it's like the beach or the mountains, but somewhere outside doing something in nature, somewhere beautiful.
Sure, except for that vacation we took to New York City and sat inside a bunch.
Oh, that's a good point. So I loved that too. Because it was such an experience of being in the city and going to shows and eating really delicious food, and just the hustle bustle of being in New York City. So I take it back. Yes, I love nature, but I'm all about a new experience. So being in the city was super fun too.
So I think we could maybe identify that there are different types of vacation. One, to see something new and different, like an experience or an adventure. I would qualify our Galapagos trip as that.
Definitely an experience and an adventure. We did not go into this Galapagos trip even thinking this is a vacation. We went into it thinking this is going to be an experience that we're going to share with our family, and it's going to be an adventure. Knowing that helped us a lot because we knew going into it that it was going to be a lot of work, mostly because of the kids.
Well, and just travel in general can be exhausting.
Right.
So again, in the Galapagos, to get from island to island, you have to take these ferries. They are glorified, like imagine the largest motorboat on the lake that you might have ever visited. It's a glorified motorboat, and they just put 3 engines on the back instead of 1.
It was one of the worst experiences of my life.
And then you go across the open ocean of the Pacific.
Oh my gosh. We're talking up and down and up and down and up and down. And like the front of the boat would just go way up and then come down and slap the water. And the first ferry ride we took, I completely lost track of how many times I threw up. It was to the point where I had literally nothing left in my stomach except the little sips of water that I was forcing myself to take so I maybe wouldn't get dehydrated, and stomach acid. I think everybody on that ferry just looked at me with like these big doe eyes. They were just so sad for me. It's like, don't worry about me. Blech.
And so that adventure type of vacation, you might need some rest from when you get back. That's usually what makes getting home feel so good. And then the whole rest and recuperation type of vacation, I mean, we've talked about what that would be for us. We just go without the kids somewhere and sit on a beach.
Yeah.
Read a book, swim in the water, eat food. That might be more on the
Oh,
idea
yeah,
of,
that sounds great.
of just vacation. Not necessarily fun new experiences. We've been on beaches before. We've read books before. We've been swimming before.
Yeah.
But it can be very relaxing.
And so we want to switch gears a little bit here and talk about how we sabotage our own vacations. First of all, I think using the term vacation can lead you down the wrong path to begin with. Are you taking a vacation or are you going on an experience? Are you going on an adventure? That changes things because I do believe that vacation has connotations of rest, relaxation, fun, happiness all around. And an adventure, you know that it's going to be difficult, but it's going to be worth it. And that's what Galapagos was. It was difficult, but it was definitely worth it. All the things we saw, that experience we were able to provide for our kids, though they didn't appreciate it as much as we would have wanted. It might be something.
Day 5. When can we go home and play Minecraft?
And Memphis's famous quote, I don't want to go to another beach. Do you hear yourself, boy? Oh, goodness.
Boy.
So I think that's the first thing you need to differentiate. Don't call it a vacation if it's not going to be restful and rejuvenating and happiness all around. Call it an adventure, an experience, whatever. Come up with a nice noun.
Yeah, and if you think about vacations and how you even take one, you usually have to take time off. Time off of what? Work. But time off of whatever else you have in your life. And do you take time off when you're not going somewhere? Do you take time off to just be away from work? That's putting away the phone. That's closing the laptop. That is also part of that rest or relaxation or vacation, but it's maybe while you're sitting at home.
Right. And that's something that we can be thinking about starting right now. Are you doing this today? Can you do a better job of this tomorrow with taking time off in your daily life? But going back to an actual vacation in the conventional definition, going somewhere, there are ways that we sabotage that as well. We bring all of our stuff still. Like we are still attached to our phones and our screens. And we're like, well, let's make sure that we have, Wi-Fi wherever we go, things like that. Also just something simple, but when you're planning a vacation, you just overplan it. You just fill in too many things to do. So that turns into more of like an adventure, an experience. If you go on vacation, you're like, okay, today we're going to go on this excursion and tomorrow we're going to go on that excursion. We're going to do all these things. That might be what you want to do and that might be fun, but that's probably going to be more of an adventure than a vacation. So just knowing to differentiate that. And then the last thing is overspending.
And you might not know you're doing it. That's the creep of a vacation. Because it might be on a credit card or something, and then you get back and you go, oh my gosh, this vacation cost us whatever. I'm going to be paying for this for the next 6 months or something.
So there are lots of really fun things that you can do that aren't going to break the bank. We knew that Galapagos was ridiculously expensive.
And when she says ridiculously, that's ridiculously for Ecuadorian standards. Our meals were still, as my sister would tell us, cheaper than any of the meals she would have gotten in the States, like in New York City.
Yeah, Steve and I have gotten quite accustomed to when we eat out here, an almuerzo might cost $2.50, $3 per person. And for the 5 of us, we normally order 4 of those. So sometimes it's a $10 bill. So, right, it was certainly more expensive than that. No, I'm talking about airfare, fees for when you get on different islands. Every single boat you get on, they're like, oh, it's $1 per person. It just all adds up. It all adds up. But we knew that going in. We accounted for it. We planned for it. But if you want to go on a vacation and not spend a ton of money, you have to be really aware of your spending.
Or you end up sabotaging maybe some good memories because you couldn't really afford them.
You come back and you're like, and I'm in credit card debt. But it might just take a little bit more effort to find a place that's going to be a little bit more budget friendly. But they certainly do exist. And, maybe it's a matter of like, hey, we can't go on a European vacation this year. We can't afford that. So let's just drive a couple hours away from where we live to this beautiful area with mountains or something,
So some of the things that we do on vacation could also sabotage us. Things that are normally just good. Like, hey, look at this really cool thing we went to or we saw. Let's get
take
a picture.
Yes. Susan Sontag has talked about this. I was reading about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago, and she calls it aesthetic consumerism of vacation photography. And she talks about how we value the record over the living present. Just let that sink in. Because is that true of us sometimes? That we care more about the pictures that are going to come from this, that we're going to be able to post to whatever social media site we're using, over what we're doing in the living present?
And we saw it. We saw people on beaches in the Galapagos probably posting to their Instagram because it looked awkward and there was extra props involved. And it was, I don't know, maybe makeup, but definitely a polished looking picture. Like, that's not real. You're not even enjoying this beach. There's like a shark right there.
Right. And it's the whole thing where it's like you're on your phone so much because you're recording it and you're taking pictures and that's so great. But are you looking at what you're actually looking at, or are you looking at it through the screen of your phone? I have to ask myself that sometimes. And I say, Jen, put the phone down. You don't need to record this. You can record it in your memory and have it in your memory. But I'm like, why am I looking through my phone screen at this amazing thing that's happening in front of me when I could just be looking at the amazing thing that's happening in front of me?
So we need to obviously be maybe self-deprecating in this way, but how many pictures, Jen, do you have of that sunset?
Oh my gosh, the sunset. The sunset on Lover's Beach. Yeah, I don't know, 30?
And that's the ones you still have.
Yeah, I went through and I tried to delete some because, I don't want it taking up all the memory on my phone. But I took a lot of pictures of that. I don't deny it.
And the other ironic part about this is we're talking about it and we're still trying to be real. I actually got Jen a newer, better phone with higher quality picture taking capabilities.
Yes, you did.
Specifically because we were going to the Galapagos.
Happy birthday to me.
Which, was I more concerned about the images she was going to get, the quality of those images? Or was I concerned about living in the moment? I don't know.
It kind of baffled me, actually. I was very surprised that you got me that. But I appreciated it. And I absolutely appreciate having good pictures from that trip. I will go back to those. I will enjoy them. And I tried to be very aware to not have my phone out constantly because I knew you can't capture everything, nor do you want to. So just pick and choose a few things, take a few pictures, and be happy with that. Do I go back and think, oh, if I had only gotten a picture of fill in the blank? I have not had that thought at all. So just don't worry so much about being able to capture everything. You are living it. Enjoy it.
Right, now this next topic about vacation might sound a little weird considering we're trying to say enjoy where you're at, put away your phone, but at the same time, maybe pull out a book.
Oh, yes. I've been waiting to talk about this one. Oh, goodness. So vacation. Remember that the way we're defining vacation is a time to rest and rejuvenate and be somewhere beautiful and relax and enjoy your surroundings. So one way to do that, I think, where you're still aware of your surroundings, you can still hear what's going on, is reading a physical book. Not on your phone.
Because those notifications pop up.
Yeah. Just have a physical book, maybe bring a paperback so it's not as heavy. But let's just take a moment here, Stephen, and talk about reading.
Am I in trouble? Galileo believed that books are our only means of having superhuman powers.
Woo! And for Carl Sagan, a book was, quote, proof that humans are capable of working magic.
Franz Kafka wrote to his best friend that a book must be the axe for the frozen sea inside of us.
Wow, that's so good.
By the way, if you don't understand that, you use the axe so that you can get through the sea.
Right.
I'm just making sure.
Good. Thanks for the clarification. I think there's so many benefits to reading good literature. And being on vacation, I mean, what better time to have a chance to leave reality for a little while? So pick up a really fun fictional book and just go into another world for a little bit. Experience something new while you're relaxing. I mean, how great is that? And we also are encouraged to remember that reading fiction improves our empathy. Just because we get to know characters who are different from us and we connect with those characters, and because of that, we become better humans. So it's just all good, people. Bring a book with you on vacation.
And someone told me once, maybe it was to improve your sleep. If you really want to relax and rest and recuperate, read that book before you go to bed.
Yes, sir.
Let it put you to sleep. Maybe you don't like books, but trying to read words would definitely put you out. Best sleep ever.
Yeah, it's a good way to relax. Absolutely. Another lady, you might have heard of her. Her name is Anais Nin. She said, "You live like this, sheltered in a delicate world, and you believe you are living. Then you read a book, Lady Chatterley, for instance, or you take a trip, or you talk with someone, and you discover that you are not living, that you are hibernating. The symptoms of hibernating are easily detectable. First, restlessness. The second symptom, when hibernating becomes dangerous and might degenerate into death, absence of pleasure. That is all. It appears like an innocuous illness, monotony, boredom, death. Millions live like this or die like this without knowing it. They work in offices. They drive a car. They picnic with their families. They raise children, and then some shock treatment takes place. A person, a book, a song, and it awakens them and saves them from death."
Well, that was a mouthful. I'm glad she didn't say it was only a book, that there is something out there, and it could be the vacation itself. The relaxation itself could be the shock that you need. Maybe your monotony is that you just keep going, and you need to stop.
Yeah, you need to be still. You need to allow yourself to think.
We can even think of that in terms of religious situations. How often are we asked to be still in the Christian faith?
Be still and know that I am God.
Right. The primary part of that is be still. Stop moving. Stop going to the next practice. Stop setting up the next plans. Sit on that beach.
Yeah, sounds good. Sign me up. Let's go. So I think all this to say, be careful of your day-to-day creeping in and consuming you so that you are not being shocked into thinking about your life and realizing there's more to life than this day-to-day monotonous, perhaps busy, email-filled day.
Now we're getting back to our anti-consumerism episode there, but I want you to highlight the word that Nin uses here, hibernating, and kind of the irony she's saying. Hibernating would mean you're in a deep sleep doing nothing, but she's arguing that your hibernation is actually lacking change, that you're doing the same thing over and over, but you might be doing lots of things so you don't even realize it. That's that innocuous illness.
That's so good. That's so good. That's the question you need to ask yourselves right now. Are you in hibernation in your life right now?
Because come on out, it's springtime.
Yeah. Take a vacation.
So we're going to spin this one more direction for you to talk about what actual relaxation, what actual rest, maybe actual vacation should look like. We've talked around it, and then give a word for you that you can use in everyday life.
Sounds good to me. Let's talk about it.
That word is leisure.
Yes. And leisure is not something that you only can attain while on vacation.
Or it's not only attainable while sitting and doing nothing and being entertained.
Oh, gosh, no.
That's not just leisure. You might think watching TV, leisure activity.
Right. No, we're talking about your mind. You need to turn everything else off to truly experience leisure of the mind.
And it might include, dare I say it, Jen, closing and putting down the book.
Yes, okay, I'll do it. It's interesting to look back on some of the great human achievements that have taken place. Someone like Galileo inventing modern timekeeping. How did he do that? He was watching a pendulum swing in a cathedral. He was doing a whole lot of basically nothing.
But his mind wasn't. Because his body was able to do nothing, his mind was active.
Right.
So sometimes, I know Jen says this, like, I just want to turn my brain off for now. Like, let's just watch some dumb show.
I do say that.
That's pretty much the opposite of what we should be doing in our leisure time.
Okay.
And this is where, we have to be honest with ourselves. When we have a topic, how we're not actually meeting that.
Yeah. Well, I follow this newsletter called The Marginalian, and Maria Popova wrote that our greatest art, the most enduring ideas of philosophy, the spark for every technological breakthrough originated in leisure, in moments of unburdened contemplation, of absolute presence with the universe within one's own mind, and absolute attentiveness to life without.
And while that's great, I do disagree with some of it. I think
Do tell.
I do think some technological breakthroughs have happened because scientists are just in the labs or they're doing research constantly and they're like, oh my gosh, bam, there it is.
Yeah.
But you could argue that they were in a comfortable environment, relaxed enough to be allowed to research. There was no pressure on them maybe to discover that next thing. And it is a form of leisure breakthrough. Or when they finally, clocked out and they're sitting down and eating.
An idea pops into their mind. I mean, you guys know that happens sometimes, right? We've talked about this. We've talked about how, being in the shower, sitting on the toilet, you get these great ideas. Come on, you know that to be true. But it is interesting, though, that we maybe aren't providing that for ourselves as much as we could be because we're filling every minute of the day with something. And even Steve mentions, I want to turn my brain off and watch a stupid show. I need to be aware of that and just say, you know what? Maybe let's just sit here.
I have students, if there's free time to do their homework or to read a book or something, they invariably ask me, can I put some headphones in? Can I listen to music? It's like, no, you can't listen to music. Focus on what is happening in your life right now and don't worry about music, as great as it can be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a whole other thing. We have those earbuds in all the time, right? Like we're going on a walk. Well, I want to take advantage of this time, so I'm going to listen to a podcast. And that's great sometimes. Definitely great sometimes. But don't let it be the routine that you do every time, because sometimes you need to go on a walk and you need to just let your brain think.
Right. Don't get stuck hibernating while going on your walks or your runs. Do something different so that you can think something different.
And come up with the next great idea.
That's what we're doing.
Yay! No, I think about when I write poetry, it's when I am totally relaxed and sad and not doing anything else.
Good point here. You said totally relaxed. How often have you written poetry on a vacation?
I actually brought a little notepad to Galapagos and did not even...
That was an adventure.
...crack it open. Yeah, no. On vacation? Well, I don't write as much on vacation. I do, occasionally. I read more than I write. But yes, it happens.
So the point here is Jen is saying she writes when she's fully relaxed, and she's fully relaxed at home. That leisure time can be found without going anywhere.
And probably it's going to be easier to find without going anywhere.
So instead of thinking about vacation and experiences and what's the next big thing, or, hey, you're taking days off work, where are you going? Home, leisure.
Home is wherever I'm with you.
Yes. And instead of looking for something to fill the time, you gladly say, well, I'm taking some vacation so that I can do nothing. Because here's a quote from 20th century philosopher Joseph Piper. Leisure is a form of that stillness that is necessary preparation for accepting reality.
Let's face it, everyone. Reality is something we have to deal with. It just is. And it's hard for us sometimes. It's difficult to deal with reality. Leisure is something that will help us deal with our real life.
Because reality won't stop for us. We need to stop for reality.
We are Red Weather Christians.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Jen.
We hope you'll feel empowered to question the rules you follow,
Fear mediocrity,
and keep the conversation going.